kind of at a place where we wanted to introduce ourselves before we take you along on this journey to build this thing into a schoolie. So I'm Allison, this is Presley.
I'm Blakely.
And I'm Adam.
And we're the Weinbrenner family. A place where... Okay, sister. It's time off for a nap. Okay. Or I guess here, let's do this. So it's been a long, probably... And so we did it. While we were there, though, I told Adam. Okay, so this will be a little bit easier without the little one, otherwise she would scream the entire time. So she's down for a nap. So this was not always our plan to build a schoolie. It's been a really long journey to get to this point, and I feel like we need to go back a few years to about 2020 to where this all kind of started.
Yep.
So it was right during COVID. I was working as a nurse full time, and he was a stay-at-home dad with Blakely, our oldest at the time. I decided that I wanted to build a brand new house. So we were going to sell our existing one right before COVID was a thing. Yeah. And we were going to build a brand new house. So we did. 6 months later, we moved in. It was September of 20. I was just so burnt out and I was working at least 60 hours a week during COVID, and it was awful. So I told him about a month after we moved into our brand new house that I wanted to take a travel assignment. So we ended up going reluctantly at first to Washington. So we packed the three of us up and we headed out there. I took an assignment for 13 weeks and worked from January of 21 until mid-April of 21. He fell in love with it. Absolutely did not want to leave. At that time, we reluctantly moved back to Fishers, Indiana, was our home at the time. And I went back to work, and he hated his life a little bit being back in Indiana, and I hated my life as a nurse. And there was a lot of just tension and just a lot of just negative emotions kind of swirling around. It was a little rough for us.
Yes.
As a couple, as a family, our life in general was just kind of spiraling. Where we lived, it felt like keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
You had the big house, the nice cars. You were literally working to sustain this lifestyle to keep up with everyone else, and it was miserable. So we made the decision that we thought would help things at the time, and I truly believe it did.
Yes.
Because it led us to this. But we were going to move back to northern Indiana to be closer with family. So we wanted the rural lifestyle, the complete opposite of what we had. So we moved back to our little podunk hometown, and we bought a log cabin, and
some land.
Yeah, we had some land, so I was able to garden and just kind of just relax a little. I was working as a nurse still, and he went back to work after 4 years of being home with Blakely.
You were working far less, though.
Far less. I was working just normal 312s. So, to make a long story short there, life got better, but we still kind of hated our life. He never stopped thinking about Washington, and that was ultimately where he wanted to be. He wanted to move west. He wanted adventure and freedom.
Mountains.
Yes. So from that point, the tension started to build again. The debt started to build. It was
unhappiness.
Yes, a lot of unhappiness. And maybe it sounds like we've been chasing happiness, but I think ultimately everything led us to where we were supposed to be. So we finally came to the decision in, January of this year, 2024?
I don't even remember.
It was back in January that we just wanted to start over. We wanted a fresh start. So we said, we're moving west. That's the plan. We're going to sell everything and we're going to make it happen. So
many months of bouncing ideas on how we could accomplish what we wanted to do.
Yes. Lots of time, lots of thought, lots of hours went into the decision to list our house and move. So we ended up, after a few months of getting the house ready, we sold it pretty quickly, and that was back in August. And it all happened so fast.
It did.
The plans just kind of quickly changed. We went from putting everything in storage and kind of heading west to find where we wanted to call home, because we didn't want to just jump into anything and just be in the same boat. So we were going to take the time to do that, fly back, move all of our stuff out. And I told him before we left Indiana that I wanted to see the East Coast. Really never been east other than like Florida. So he kind of reluctantly said okay. But we did. We spent 5 weeks, started in Indiana, went all the way up through, up into Maine, all the way down the East Coast, down to the dry Tortugas out in the Keys, and then all the way back up. And while we were doing this 5-week road trip, basically living out of a rooftop tent of his Lexus.
Yep, rooftop tent, hotel rooms occasionally, and small, tiny Airbnbs.
Yeah, we kind of realized quickly that we don't need all this stuff, that it felt good paying off every lick of debt and not really having to go to work, and being able to just adventure as a family and just see things. Like, that was really the ultimate goal.
Yes, to continue the adventure.
And so he had mentioned building like a schoolie when we were still living in the house, and I thought he was absolutely crazy. Like, I pushed back so hard against that.
Shot down immediately.
Yes, but after living in a tent for 5 weeks and small Airbnbs, we realized we could absolutely do it. We'll make it our home, and we'll have the freedom to go everywhere. We will have zero debt. A lot of people are like, why not just buy an RV? We don't want the debt that comes with that. So we finally came to the conclusion that, like, this was a hard yes. Like, this felt right. Like, everything in us was like, yes. So when we got back to Indiana, he began looking immediately for a bus. We found one after a couple weeks of, being bounced around. Yep. So
people not responding.
Yeah, so it took us a minute, but we found one. We bought this one down in Kentucky from the sweetest little family who had the same intentions with it. Yeah, I mean, everything just felt so right. So we brought it back to Dad's. We've been living with Dad for a couple weeks not a couple weeks. It's like a couple months now.
We haven't been here for 5 of those, though. So.
Yeah. So we've been living with Dad, and in the process of that, we are going to build this schoolie into everything that we want it to be. And we're going to take it west. We are going to explore this country and maybe eventually find home. But in the meantime, we're just going to live. We're not going to be consumed with debt and keeping up with the Joneses.
It's not worth it.
No, we don't need all the things, so that's our plan. So we just wanted to kind of introduce ourselves and let you know why we're doing this, and
all along the journey.
Yeah, so make sure you subscribe so that you can see us build this thing out, and then once we're done building, follow us along on our journey all across the country. Thanks!